What's up, guys? Today in this video, I'm going to do the first brand new car on my channel. This is a 2023 Nissan Ariya Venture Plus. And this is going to be a tour of it. Unfortunately, I can't drive it, but I'm going to show you everything else about it. So let's get started. So you can see this Ariya is black. It is very black. And the darkness continues in the interior, where it is broken up a little bit by some gold stitching on the door armrest and by this gold accenting that goes all the way across the dashboard. This one has this one being a base model has cloth seats, and unfortunately they are not wide enough for my childbearing hips. Get in, put it on, power it on by that nice button on the dashboard right there. It does play a fun startup song when you start it up. Going across the dashboard, got this nice wood effect trim and the climate control, which are all haptic touch buttons. And when you press any of these, it does not bring up the climate control on the screen here. In order to bring up the climate control on the screen, you have to touch the very bottom left corner right here. And that brings up your climate control. I personally am not a fan. I would much rather just have hard buttons and dials. But I'm sure some people will like it. Other than the climate control, you got all your audio information, your phone information, and your map. And this screen is broken up into 3 different quadrants, which is nice. And a button to bring up your camera. Except it doesn't bring up your camera. I believe if you had the 360-degree camera, it would bring up the camera so you can see where you're parking, which is a feature I like on a lot of Nissans. The dashboard is covered in this nice soft touch leather. All feels well made and durable. On the bottom of the dashboard, you got 2 glove boxes. A lot of space in them. And there is no tunnel. The footwell is completely open. And below you have this interesting furnace looking thing. And I'm not sure what that does. Maybe heat comes out of that when you have the heat on, or maybe it's just for ambiance. Not sure. Going to the center console here, you got the shifter, which is a funky design that they've been doing in the various Rogues and other things. The way it works is you push this little button here and push it up to get into reverse. You just push it down for drive. Park is this button here. And then in order to get into neutral, you push up and hold. And then that's neutral for when you're taking your Ariya through car washes. And then the whole center console is covered in this nice wood effect trim, which looks very nice. You also have your drive mode selector in the center console here, which is another haptic feedback touchpad here. And then your e-step, which I'm assuming is e-pedal. And then for the back, you got another center console lid, which is accented with more of the gold piping. And then in here, you got a little bit of storage. A phone pad, which I believe would be a wireless charging pad in a higher trim. And in the higher trim models, the whole center console slides backwards and forwards. But in this one, it doesn't do that, because this is more of a base model. Down below the center console, you got some various charging points, another storage cubby, and a traditional 12-volt power outlet. There's a lot of space in here. Checking out the back seat now. When I was doing research on this car, I found out that the market position for this car is your Murano or Honda CR-V buyer who wants a crossover but wants to get out of the gasoline crossover world. And that's who this car is aimed for. Do have some more charging points back here. More of the same wood effect back here as well. And there's a lot of space. Lot of knee room, good amount of headroom, a lot of shoulder and hip room. Very large back seat. And the seats do fold, 60-40, and Velcroed in here, under here, is where the anchors are for your car seats. And also you do have map pockets on the back of each front seat, which is nice. Unfortunately, there is no armrest here that folds down. And that, I believe, is a demerit. But you do have the same gold stitching back here as well, which is nice. It's nice that they incorporated that into the back seat. Good solid doors. Now moving on to the back of this thing. It does lift up nicely with these giant struts. This hatch is gigantic. And it is cavernous back here. Got the charging cable right here. And then underneath the floor is not a spare tire, but it really looks like there should be one in here. There's a spot for the tow hook or the jack. There's a spot where the spare would go. But all you get is an air compressor and what I assume is fix-a-flat. No spare tire. And then there's even more space underneath of it. There's no driveline components under there, as far as I know. One thing it does have, and you guys know how much I love these things, is a handle to grab and close the hatch. Every car should have that. The charging port is just a very simple spring-loaded door. Nothing overly complicated there. And then it's just here. I believe this is a J1772, but don't quote me. It looks like a J1772. No more Chatamo, unfortunately. Just because Chatamo is fun to say. Now let's check underneath the hood to see the lack of an engine. Nissan does not give you a frunk in the Ariya, much like the Leaf. What's under here, I'm assuming, is an inverter. Air conditioning gubbin somewhere. There's high voltage cables everywhere. The 12 volt battery, various fluids, brake fluid, wiper fluid. I'm assuming these are coolant for the battery, but I'm not sure. And what might be the front of the battery pack, I'm not sure. But no frunk in this car. And when I was doing research about it, I found out that they forewent the frunk to increase interior room. So they put everything underneath the hood so they could have more interior space. But that does mean that you don't get a frunk, which I guess is unfortunate, but yeah. All right, now, unfortunately, I cannot take this car out onto the main roads, but I can run it around the parking lot and talk briefly about how it drives, because I have driven it, but with one of my co-workers in the passenger seat. And the answer is it drives intuitively. You know, it definitely is more responsive than something like a Leaf, but this, even being the base model, has a lot more power than a Leaf. There are 6 trim levels for this car. I believe they are Venture Plus, Engage, I have them all written down. There's 6 trim levels for this car. And if you count all-wheel drive as a trim level, there's like 10 trim levels for this car. It's nuts. But the power output ranges from 238 horsepower to 389 horsepower. And I've heard that there's going to be a 500 horsepower version at some point. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but I've heard that is in the works. So that would be interesting. And you know, it's quick, like every EV. It is fast. You know, it'll put you in the seat like EVs do. So I do like this car. I like it more than I was expecting. I am generally an EV detractor, but this one has won me over a little bit, for sure. I like the interior. The interior The materials are nice. It is well laid out. When the headlights are on and you're in the dark, the interior lights up in a really nice white, and it just looks really pretty. And even though I was complaining about the haptic touch climate control, it is nice for quick adjustments, and it looks nice, and it frees up space in the center console and things of that nature. And all this wood and everything looks nice, and the screen is good, does everything you want. And consumers like the full gauge cluster screen. Overall, I think this is a good car. Is it competitive? I have no idea. It's the only electric crossover that I've driven. If you want to know if it's competitive, ask Doug DeMiro. But with that said, it's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Stay posted. I'll have more videos like this soon. And until then, take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.